Kona Karakau.
He te mana whakawā, tēnā koe. Mr. Speaker, before I speak to this bill, I want to follow on from my previous colleagues on this side of the House to acknowledge the passing of Dame Thea. And in doing that, Sir, remembering Sir Robert Muldoon, and the fact is that when he passed out of this House in 1992 during the tangi, is that he was huckered out. There were two huckers actually that were part of his purapuaki. So I just want to acknowledge her passing. And I remember her, Sir, when both her and Sir Robert came to St Stephen's College in Auckland when I was a student there. And she was just a wonderful sort of person, very warm person. So acknowledging her, Sir, and her tangi being on Tuesday, where she will make her final journey to Sir Robert and her ancestors. So kia ora, again, e mihi atu kia koutou katoa, e huri no e te whare e tu nei. Nō reira tēnā koutou, e mihi atu kia koutou katoa. Mr. Speaker, I rise to speak on the first reading of the Exclusive Economic Zone and Continental Shelf Environmental Effects Transitional Provisions Amendment Bill. And as the final speaker, it's really interesting sitting here listening to the opposition, to my colleagues on this side of the House, where on this side of the House, Sir, we have all the ticks, and on the other side, Sir, we either have the fact that the glass is either half empty, or if we come further over here to my right, to my Green Party colleagues, the glass is completely empty. Sir, I am pleased to support this bill, and I look forward to considering it as a member of the Local Government and Environment Select Committee. Mr. Speaker, National has a strong record of promoting economic growth and protecting our environment. We don't see protection of the environment as being detrimental, Sir, to our economy. We also don't take the view of the Green Party that somehow increasing the wealth of our nation is detrimental to the environment, and we should abandon the goal of economic growth. Sir, that in itself is a reflection of the fact that the future of this country, Sir, should never ever be put in the hands of that particular party. Sir, the achievements, I want to cover off the achievements to date in relation to this bill of the National-led government, because, Sir, the achievements of the National-led government stand as proof that economic growth and environmental protection can go hand in hand, and through a period of sustained economic growth, Sir, National has steadily improved the environmental management in this country, in New Zealand. Sir, to me, the environment is neither a left or a right domain. It really isn't. And Sir, Mr. Speaker, I am proud to be part of the Blue-Greens as well. So I'm not only a blue-brown, I'm also a blue-green. And Sir, the Blue-Greens group in the National Party and the caucus, Sir, I'm very proud to be part of. I have great admiration for the work of the Honourable Nick Smith and others who set up this group, Sir. The Blue-Greens have instigated many of the sensible environmental management measures put in place by the National-led government. And I'm looking forward, Sir, in April, Sir, to actually be able to go to Great Barrier Island and to actually be there as part of the Blue-Greens conference. Sir, not least among these measures was the incredible instigation, Sir, coming from the Blue-Greens initiative, but not least among those measures was a sea change in how our maritime environment is managed. Sir, the exclusive economic zone and the continental shelf Environmental Effects Act 2012. Sir, this was the big step forward for environmental management. It certainly was, sir, and we're seeing the fruits of that today. At the Local Government and Environment Select Committee meeting today, sir, the chair of that organisation came to present. It's just been going for over 3 years, sir, and what an amazing 3 years that's been. Sir, this is a direct effect of that 2012 legislation. Sir, for the first time, this law required the environmental effects of activities in our exclusive economic zone to be managed. Sir, that is really the essence here. It's actually finding that balance, and particularly through management. Sir, it is sensible blue-green legislation which protects our environment without constricting economic growth in a way that would be detrimental to the prosperity of all New Zealanders. Sir, as can easily happen with reforms as big as this, there have been unintended consequences. And we've actually heard from the other side of the House, sir, in the fact that it was all doom and gloom. The whole country was going to go, sir, in this expression, it was going to go to the dogs, all the legislation, everything we're doing, sir, in this House was based on the fact that suddenly we needed to amend a certain legislation. Sir, I repeat again, for the benefit of my New Zealand First colleagues over there, that these things can easily happen with reforms as big as this. There have been unintended consequences. Once you get into government, you'll probably understand that a bit more if you ever do. So, the intention, as the Minister stated in his speech at the time, the original bill had its first reading here. And it was those undertakings that the activities which the EEC Act regulates, which would be allowed to continue until their marine consent applications are decided. Sir, this particular part of the legislation, this would ensure that operators are able to continue their activities without interrupting the supply of gas to New Zealand consumers. And that's been highlighted, sir, right across the House during this debate. But it is now apparent that there is a risk that appeals against the granting of marine consent could interrupt this supply and cause damage to our economy. The first permit, which is at risk, expires on the 27th of June 2015. And even if they are granted a marine consent by the Environmental Protection Authority before expiry of their current permit, any appeal to the EPA decision would force them to stop operating. So giving those appeals, that could take years. And so the risk of interruption to the gas supply cannot be ignored. Other speakers have already talked through this, as I've said. Sir, it's also about what the government receives in revenues from extraction, and particularly this one, 800 million, as we've said, which goes into infrastructure, into education, it goes into roading and all of this sort of thing. Mr. Speaker, I do stand here and really commend this bill to the House. Sir, it is a simple bill and it is actually being supported by most of the parties in here. Sir, it is important that we do protect our resources for the benefit of all New Zealanders. Kia ora.
Members, this debate is concluded. The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those of that opinion will say aye. Aye. To the contrary, no. The ayes have it. Are party votes called for? I'll ask the clerk for a party vote.
New Zealand National.
59 votes in favour.
New Zealand Labour.
32 votes in favour.
Green Party.
13 votes opposed.
New Zealand First.
11 votes in favour.
Māori Party.
2 votes in favour.
Act New Zealand.
1 vote in favour.
United Future.
1 in favour.
Members, the ayes are 106, the noes are 13. The motion is agreed to.
Exclusive Economic Zone and Continental Shelf Environmental Effects Transitional Provisions Amendment Bill, first reading.